Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about the 100, episode 505, titled Shifting Sands, which premiered Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018 on the CW. I am recording on the same night, 18 minutes after the episode has aired, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Again, this is made solely for fun, for me to share my thoughts and opinions about this episode and the series in general. So all for fun, guys, right? Huge shout out again to repeating commenters, Mr. Legendary AO. Truly appreciate once again your insights, as well as returning commenter ENX2103, who's finally caught up with this season. Glad to see you back and checking out videos. Glad to keep the conversation going with you. So I'm going to try to do this in 15 minutes because I know for a fact, based off of these notes, it's not going to be 10 minutes. I already know that. So 15-minute clock has started. So let's begin with what happened in this episode. So timeline-wise, I believe it's the following morning of the events that happened in 504, because for one, it's morning. Also, Wong crew is getting ready to march out to Shallow Valley. They've already gathered the troops, packed their gear and stuff like that. Also, apparently, it's been 2 hours since Deoza has brought her people from Elijah's down to the ground, because there's a lot more prisoners having a little own party in Shallow Valley. So there's that. Plus, it seems that now Raven and Murphy are now on the ground. They're just now prisoners of Deoza and her Elijah's group. So huge episode reminder. Pretty much from the promo itself was those alien-like attacks of having those creatures inside the bodies. We'll get to that. But the huge episode objective, though, is getting to Shallow Valley is the main focus, particularly. And then all the other ones seem to be connected somehow to it. So episode breakdown, storyline-wise, since it's not going to be separated by ground space and underground anymore. First one was being unlocking the weapon system on Aegis. Second one being One Crew's travels, and third one being curing the Aegis prisoners, the reason why they need a doctor. So with the first storyline, pretty much we get Raven and Murphy are being tortured for answers because they are believed to be the ones that hacked the weapon system, not allowing the missiles to launch, when actually it was Zeke who did it from the beginning. So Raven has a plan to get Murphy free so he can warn the others, but in doing so, it keeps her as a prisoner. Eventually, a missile strike does happen, though, against one crew who is traveling to get to Shallow Valley, which is my second storyline, which is one crew traveling the sea route, as Clark calls it, to get to Shallow Valley, which is meant to be a 6-day hike. But in doing so, they end up dealing with burrowing parasites that are in the sand, that's getting inside open wounds and kind of, I don't know, gesting themselves inside or gestating themselves or something inside before they burst out of the stomach. It's really matching the whole alien species in the film franchise Alien. So there's that. And then if it's not that, then they have to deal with the fact that the sandstorms that are coming are going to be throwing shards at them due to the sand crystallizing due to prime fire, so and turning into glass. So those are the two issues they are currently facing during their trek. Also, with the missile strike that happened, they get hit, but instead, while during the sandstorm, mind you, and one crew stands together, are arms linked together, really huddled together, bracing themselves as they're getting hit by these shards, all while creating a dome over a wounded Octavia who managed to have a parasite get into her arm and weakening her by the venom. And Clark is overseeing her inside the dome. But for some reason, that moment right there, when you see the dome and you hear Indra's voice coaching everybody to hold their position and stuff, I got a little teary-eyed. I don't know why. It just happened. So there's that. But then in the end, after the following day, after the storm has passed, Octavia gives Bellamy not only a kiss on the cheek saying that she's glad he's here, but also a warning saying that if you disrespect or defy One Crew again, then you are defined as an enemy to One Crew as well as an enemy to her. And we all know what she does to the enemy of her crew, right? So there's that. Third storyline, we get the curing of the Aegis prisoners, or I shouldn't say curing, it's more like Abby tries to diagnose first patient Vincent. She finds out that what's making a few of them sick is due to whatever they were mining back up in space. So there's that. So last moments of the episode show the rover crew reuniting with Wong crew. So Monty, Harper, Echo, and Maddie. And then we also so we get a reunion with Clark and Maddie. We see Octavia seeing her glimpse of Monty and Harper, and then she also sees the reunion kiss between Bellamy and Echo, which does not go well with Octavia because, as we know, Echo tried to kill Octavia. And then Clark also sees this too. So it looks like a little bit of spark in her eyes. It's kind of dimmed from it. So, yeah. But anyways, characters. We'll get to that in a moment. Characters. Zeke, again, mentioned that he locked the weapon system because he didn't want it used against the only other survivors on Earth they're aware of. So there's that. McCreary, you find out that he is one of the sick. I think it's only 13 of them, I think Deoza said. But he's one of the 6, or he's one of the 13 that are sick. And with this unknown, I'm calling it a pathogen. I have no idea. It's a science stuff. But yeah, he's forcing himself to be one of the first patients. If not Vincent, then it will be him that Abby deals with to try to figure out what's going on, which leads to Vincent, new criminal. He continues to have a shock collar around his neck because it keeps the demon inside of him in place, as he has trouble controlling his more baser instincts, or impulses, I should say. A little creepy. It's kind of more, I got more of a Jekyll Hyde type of vibe from him. It put my skin on edge. But there's that. Also, we see the return of Kara. As you know, she was the Sky Crew, what was it? In 502, she was, in the flashback, she was the Sky Crew lady who ended up in the arena for the first time after she started that whole farm takeover thing. And now she's extremely loyal to Octavia. It might be in question, though, when Octavia claims to leave the dead bodies in the desert because they can't take them. They don't have time type of thing. So, like, no, don't leave your own behinds, kind of being the opposite in this point. So possible of sway of loyalty there a little bit, maybe. Anyways, tidbit wise though, we have Jackson, only seen at the beginning of the episode because he stayed back in Polis, but he made a comment to Clark about how they could have really used her in the bunker in the last few years. But that's all he said. Clark couldn't get anything else more out of him before things escalated. We also know Sky Crew, I'm going to call the people who are on the Ark Ring that, knows that Clark told stories to Maddie about them, enough that Maddie had this thought that Murphy would be funnier when she met him. So that's something. Makes me wonder what stories Clark could have told Maddie to give her the impression that he was funnier. I mean, I gotta know, considering the relationship between Clark and Murphy was a little rocky at that point. So, yeah. Also, Murphy and Amori are left in the woods to throw off the shock collar tracker that he had placed on him when he was a prisoner with Legis. Also, we have Indra telling Octavia that she loves her, though she doesn't agree with Guy's teachings to her about being a leader, in the ways of the commander, I guess you could say. Also, Deoza eventually takes Kane's offer for intel on Octavia in exchange for safety. He was trying to barter his safety as well as Abby's and Murphy's and Raven's, and she called him a traitor for it. Also, because of that, though, we get Kane trying tequila for the first time. Fun fact there. We see Abby that is back on her pain meds again, her pill addiction, so there's that. Also, we see Kane and Abby seeing Clark's drawings and realizing that her new doctor's office is in Clark's former home with Maddie, though they don't know who Maddie is. They just see a picture of her, though, that Clark drew, as well as a torn-up picture of Octavia that Deoza did. Tore up, I mean. Anyways, moving on to ship status. Wow, time's going fast. Okay, Bellamy and Clark, they go right into it with leaders. They're assessing Octavia's reign over Wong Crew and just how it's being done. Bellamy mentioned Pandora's box, stuff like that. Murphy and Raven both being tortured together, looking out for each other, if you will. We got Murphy and Amori staying behind in the woods together. She made the choice to do that when he offered to stay behind alone to get the tracker off their location. Bellamy and Echo are reunited with a kiss in front of his sister, who hates Echo. So, like I said, tension issues. Kane and Abby, they're both protective of each other when they're separated. Also clarified that they are not married. Kane made a point of telling Deoza that Abby's not his wife when she assumed so. So there's that. Clark and Maddie, again, are reunited at last. So there's that. Also, Deoza and McCreary, it was alluded to the fact that in the past there was some sort of relationship between the two of them. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking the words exchanged between the two of them in that little comment they had, but they called it the Rock as well too. Relationships back on the Rock. I don't know if they mean like wherever they were mining or something, but there's that. And also, again, beginning of the episode, we do get a kiss between Miller and Jackson before they separated to their responsibilities. So there is that. Moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode, I would have to say 3 different points. One, the dome that Wonku created during the sand shard storm. So there's that. 2, Octavia threatening Bellamy the way she did with the whole if you're against Wonku, you're an enemy, therefore my enemy as well type of thing. And third one, that Zeke is the one who locked the weapon system. I truly thought that it was Raven who hacked the system, but Zeke's the one who did it, which I definitely was not expecting. Hence the shock. So anyways, moving on to top 3 favorite moments. First one is obviously Bellamy and Clark. I mean, hello. If there's a scene with them together, there is a very good chance it's going to be one of my top 3, if not the top favorite moment. But anyways, more specifically, we have the campfire scene between them and how Clark is talking about how impressive it is that Octavia was able to lead the 12 clans into one clan the way she did it, and just how she's able to keep the structure of it, I guess you could say, while Bellamy's a little disturbed by it. Clark calls it impressive. Though Bellamy points out that it's impressive that Clark managed to survive by herself all this time. She doesn't go into it with him, though, because it was a tough time, but she just says she had Maddie. She wasn't alone type of thing. Later on, though, when they're dealing with, just before Octavia got that parasite thing, they were talking about the whole head and heart thing. Bellamy is dealing with the fact that Octavia has changed so much in the last 6 years. Clark comments that he's also changed too for the better, and then bringing up the whole head and heart thing that they talked about the last time they saw each other before Prime Fire. So it was a great nod back to that whole thing, how she was the head, he was the heart, and then when they separated, they each had to do both. So now that they're together, they have to figure out a way. They kind of meshed in the way like, well, how do you take the situation? And then the other one's like, well, probably the same way you are. And then they're kind of going at how they perceive the situation together, which is really great. In some aspects, it's great to see them back in it and on the same page when it comes to certain things. So can't wait to see how that further develops, especially when they find out more of what happened to each other in the last 6 years. So there's that. Like, I really want Clark to open up to Bellamy about what it was like to live by herself for a while before she found Maddie, and then with Maddie, obviously, and what she learned and stuff like that, because it's a whole new world now for her and for all of them and stuff. So there's that. Another favorite I really have to mention, though, is the fact that I noticed 2 very prominent parallels that Octavia was displaying in this episode. So the first parallel was Octavia mimicking Bellamy in episode 103. And as you remember, in 103, this is the one where Bellamy threatens to kill Jasper if he's not healed up by morning. And this is after Jasper got speared in the chest. And that's because he was weakening camp morale. And in this episode, we do see the same thing when Miller's scout buddy, I think Opake, I don't know his name, it's probably on screen, when he has a parasite in him and he's like in pain, Octavia does the same thing. He says like, well, if he's not well by morning, she'll kill him herself type of thing. So that was a huge parallel there, which was really weird because when Bellamy did that in 103, Octavia was completely against it. She wanted to save Jasper's life and everything and stand between her brother and his target. And then this time she's the one that wants to do the killing itself, put the guy out of his misery and just truck on forward, no matter the fact that he's one of her men type of thing. So it was really weird there, but it was a great parallel to have. Very striking. A second parallel that she did was the whole thing with her mimicking Clark, specifically in 209 when she mimics the quote, "Love is weakness." And as you know, in 209, this is where Clark learns from Lexa that as a leader, loving someone is a weakness because to be used against you. So this is where we find out about Costa and how she was used against Lexa, and then Lexa adapted the form of love is a weakness. And then also from that trip, Clark does the same thing to Bellamy, and that's why she sends him to Mount Weather. So she repeats the whole love is weakness thing. And in this episode, we get the exact same thing with Octavia claiming that love is weakness, especially in regards to Bellamy. And then Indra tries to get her to not think that way because it's the ways of Gaia, her daughter. And Indra says, well, I love you, you being Octavia. And she's like, does that make me weak? And Octavia thankfully doesn't say yes. She says that I could never say that to you. And I don't know if it's regards to if Octavia can never say that she loves Indra, or if it's that Octavia can never say that Indra is weak. I don't know which one she was referring to, though. But it was these two parallels were very striking because I don't know if it's because, like, it's been 6 years and maybe Octavia's been taking things that she's seen other leaders do and put them to her use, because she's taken from her own brother Bellamy, she's taken them from Clark, two co-leaders that she had to follow season 1, season 2. So it's like she had to take from them in a sense. So it's like, it was very interesting, I gotta say. I mean, it made a very terrifying blood Reyna, but like, and there's the timer. But the parallel is just so striking there, which is why I like it. I like when they make connections back to the earlier seasons like this. It makes you pay attention for sure, which is what I love. So there's that. Another favorite on, let's move it on. I definitely passed 15 minutes. But I really love Murphy's reaction to seeing Raven being tortured. Definitely came a long way since season 1. But I like that the moment he sees her in pain, covered in water, shock collar on her, the moment he steps in and sees that, he tries to get to her. He tries to barrel himself through his guards before he's attacked himself. But it was very interesting to see the protectiveness from him for her, especially with their history. It was very interesting to see him consider her in decisions, especially when it came to surviving. It wasn't just him doing it for himself. It was more him wanting to get the two of them out of there. So it was very interesting. I've always had this weird little thing with Murphy and Raven. I mean, they have their moments, and then it's like, oh, I'm rooting for them. And then it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, what version of them am I rooting for, right? So anyways, another favorite moment I have to say is the moment where Monty tells Murphy in the Rover that Maddie has heard stories about them because of Clark. And then Murphy's reaction to that was just funny. It was a great little comedic moment to have during a very intense situation that they're in. So it was very funny. And then Maddie's reaction or comments from all that was just fun, on her toes. I really want to hear what these stories were. I mean, we got a bit of it in like 501, but like, I really want to know what Clark told Maddie about all these important people from her life. So there's that. Moving on though to top 3 peeve moments. I got 2. But the majority of my peeve came from the whole burrowing parasites inside the human flesh thing. That was too much of a reminder of the Alien franchise. And that, something like that just makes it too much sci-fi for me. I mean, yeah, we're talking about people coming from space. But like, they're not aliens from space. They're from Earth. They have the technology to travel to space, to work and live and stuff in space. And they happen to come back home. This whole burrowing parasite thing, it had me thinking aliens and stuff, and just like whole, I don't need that type of a shift. That just changes the whole possible methodology, ideology thing of the show, and it's just, no, keep aliens out of this. Keep it out. I think I mentioned that in 413 when I thought the Aegis ship was an alien ship. No, leave aliens out of this show. So anyways, another peeve of mine was the simple fact that Raven is still a prisoner on Aegis. I mean, I thought her plan would have included her own escape when Murphy got away. Apparently not, so I'm a little pissed by that. But now I'm wondering if Raven's stuck on the ship, if this is going to cause a soft spot from Zeke to form for Raven. He's going to feel guilty and kind of have some sort of a tie towards her and maybe help her escape or something I have no idea. You know what I mean, though, hopefully. Anyways, moving on to what will I remember most when I look back on this episode. Alien parasites, unfortunately, due to that stupid promo. Yeah. Anyways, random questions. First one being, is it me or is Octavia becoming more like a dictator or a cult leader? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, on the one hand, I like that she can instill such fear and such loyalty, but then on the other hand, there's kind of like you do something wrong and then like that's it, game over. You've lost her trust. It's like bye bye, sign your own death warrant type thing. So I have no idea. So there's that. We also have to find out about my whole arena thing, about the number of times you can win and be granted freedom. But I guess it doesn't matter since they don't have the whole arena set up anymore. Or would they? Even though they're in even that's another thing. If they go to Shadow Valley, would they still continue the whole arena concept? Hypothetically, wondering there. Anyways, got sidetracked. Next question. Which side is Zeke truly on? I mean, was he really trying? Did he double cross Raven when he let Murphy go to track him, or is he really helping her but saving his butts and then gonna help her out later on? Like what is it? I want to believe he wants to help them. I mean, Raven said he's not like the other Allegiance prisoners. He wasn't a prisoner to begin with, so it's like he's that type of an outsider for them. But then, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to think of Zeke as like the new Lincoln, which is a funny story. But anyways, yeah, I want to like him, but like he's still with the bad guys. And I don't care if they say there are no bad guys. Allegiance is a bad guy. So there's that. Last question. If Octavia went with the scouting party that went through the sea route, then who is back at Polis with the rest of Wong crew leading them? Did Gaia stay behind? Because we know Jackson did. Some people that were wounded during the initial strike in the previous episode were still there. But I don't think all 814 people went with them through the sea route, right? So who stayed behind? There's that. Moving on, though, to predictions very quickly. This is becoming very long. Did not mean to. But promo for 506 shows that the episode returns June 5th. So we get 1 week of a hiatus. I don't know why, but we do. But it shows from the brief bit of it I got on TV was that Diyoza tries for peace. It looks like they're back in Polis from the setup of it. While also it looks like Octavia has an execution order for anyone who is deciding to become traitor and take Diyoza of her peace deal. So there's that. Synopsis, though, for 506 reads that Kane's attempt to prove himself useful tests Wong crew's allegiance to Octavia. Maddie faces an unexpected threat inside Wong crew, forcing Clark to make an unlikely ally. Bellamy, Abby, Raven, Murphy, Monty, and Echo are also set to appear. So, yeah. Gotta wait a week, which sucks. But hopefully it'll give me time to catch up on some things. But it'll be very interesting to see how things change leadership-wise, because, again, you got two roaring factions going against each other to get this one piece of land. So, I mean, how big of the land are we talking here, realistically? Like, can it really sustain all 800? I mean, it's what, 804, or less than that, but 800 of one crew, roughly 280 of Allegiance, so that's roughly 1,000 right there. Couldn't they all just live in Shadow Valley? I mean, that's two peace treaty type, but theoretically, isn't it big enough land to do so? I mean, why not, really? But anyways, we'll have to wait and find out about that. But what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions about what you think is going to happen next. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check it out. I am behind. I hope to get back to it very soon. But there's that. Also, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to that account. It is more organized, but it is a work in progress, so keep that in mind as well. But otherwise, that is pretty much about it, guys. I also posted a video about the CW upfronts, which has mentions of the 100 season 6 in there. So go check that out if you want as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back in 2 weeks to see what I have to say about 506. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.